We are SWAV 7. I'm Jordan.
Hello, I will be talking about the education of the 18th century. The 18th century education began right before the Revolution ended. Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Rush were the first ones to be involved in this movement. At first, Thomas Jefferson believed that there should be a free education for everybody, so that way um, kids would be prepared to be part of a natural society, so everybody would have equal education. His plan was really never set forward, but this really did lead to a new education significance in America. Benjamin Rush believed that women needed to be educated. He believed that children were going to start being educated. The first people that would educate them is their parents. And since they spend more time with their mothers, it was very important for the women to know how to read, write, and basically the basic household needs to teach their children. Uh, Kids would spend the first 7 years of their lives with their mothers, and since boys were sent off to do tasks with masters, the girls would stay home with their mothers. And since they would stay home with their mothers, it was very important for the mother to teach the girl how to read, write, and a little bit of French and some mathematics as well. And then as well as the basic, which was sewing, cleaning, cooking. So it was very important for the women to learn how to read and write because they were the first ones to incorporate education to their children. Uh, this is one of the symbols that you could see. The women here are they really didn't reach high school or like a college because basically education was predominant for the guys, not for women, but still at least they learned how to do the basic, which was reading, writing, and that in some math. This also helped too in some family business that were owned. So throughout the colonies, a lot of women were beginning to be educated. And the first step was to teach the mother at least how to read and write, so that way they can also teach the children. So one of the things that I really did learn about researching this is that women have really had it tough throughout the years in America. Right from the beginning, they were taught the basics, read, write, and some math. Why? To teach the boys, so that way the boys would continue off to do their education, and but the girls would stay home and just continued learning how to cook, clean, so that way when they got older, would be good housewives and just teach their kids the basics, especially the daughters. Until this day, like this day now, women have high degrees, they have reached high positions, but still we don't have like a female president. So it's been really tough on girls. But at least right from the beginning, there were men like Benjamin Rush that believed a woman should learn how to read and write because it was very important. And till this day, well, now it's even greater how fast women have grown in this society, and we're just still waiting for maybe a female president soon, so that way the women have reached the highest place in the American education. Thank you.
Well, my topic is about the Plessy versus Ferguson case. So basically, the Plessy versus Ferguson case, some general knowledge is that Plessy bought a ticket to sit on the train that was reserved for whites only, and then he was arrested for breaking the law, and he sued the company claiming that he didn't, that they violated the 13th and 14th Amendment, but the court disagreed and ruled that Plessy was not deprived of his rights, and it didn't make him less of a person. And then the court created the phrase separate but equal, which basically was that whites and blacks can have separate facilities, but as long as they were equal. So who was involved in the Plessy versus Ferguson case? Homer Plessy. He was an active member of a New Orleans civil rights organization. He was of mixed descent and he was light skinned. And everyone in the United States was affected by this event because this event involved racism and segregation. And when did it happen? It initially started in 1892 when Plessy first sat on the train, but the decision of the court didn't finish until 1896. This period was significant because the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment were just passed. Also, segregation and racism was a popular topic during this time period, and it happened right after the Reconstruction era. Um, where did it happen? It happened in Louisiana. Louisiana um, is significant that it happened there because this is in the Louisiana is located in the South, and racism and segregation was very, very strong and intense in the South. So this case was very significant. And why did it happen? It happened basically because he wanted to challenge Louisiana laws that related to separate accommodations, which included like restaurants and schools, and this one in particular, the separate car law. Um, Before this event, life for African Americans was rough, and this event helped to ease the lives of African Americans, and it basically uh, and more segregation laws were created um, that helped ease the lives of African Americans, and it wasn't long before the Brown versus Board of Education ended the separate but equal laws, where they basically said it didn't make any sense. So that's all for the Plessy versus Ferguson case. And the symbol that I chose was this picture because it has the name of the case on it, and it says separate but not equal, which is basically how a lot of the African Americans were feeling during this time period. They didn't believe that separate can be equal. And as you can see in this picture, the white side, it's fancier than the black sides, which show that separate was not equal. And this is basically sums up the Plessy versus Ferguson case. And what did I learn? I learned a lot about this case. This case was just mentioned a few times. I didn't know any of the history behind it, but yeah, so I learned all the details and who was involved and information from all different aspects about this that was surrounded around this case. I didn't really know much, so this project helped me to learn um, a lot about the 19th century in general.
Hi, I'm going to be presenting the 20th century milestone, and what I'm going to present is Brown versus Board of Education. And this was in 1954, and it was a class action suit that was filed against the Board of Education of the city of Topeka, Kansas. Basically, what happened was 13 Topeka parents filed on behalf of their students so that they could be accepted into the school district that at the time was segregated. And this Brown versus Board of Ed case was actually a consolidation of similar cases from 5 different jurisdictions, and that was Kansas, South Carolina, Delaware, Virginia, and the District of Columbia. The court actually ruled in favor of Brown and ultimately decided that even if tangible factors like facilities, teachers, and supplies were equal, then separation was unequal and it was a violation of the 14th Amendment. And the symbol that I have to present is basically, as you can see, protesters in the street, and the sign actually says we protest school segregation. And this was actually something common during that time because those individuals felt that it was their right to be given the same level of education as everybody else, which is why they felt that it was necessary to take these needs and these actions in order to get that to happen. Basically, what I learned specific to this time period is that it's important to sometimes challenge the system. And at this time, the courts had permitted racial segregation and covered it by saying that it was separate but equal, and that's why they had black schools and white schools. But clearly, it was not equal at the time. So because these people challenged it, it made those laws unconstitutional and changed the school system forever. So it's really important to realize that it's possible to challenge things, and that way you can get things accomplished and things that you really feel are necessary to accomplish.
For the 21st century, I chose to research the DREAM Act. The DREAM Act involves illegal immigrants in the United States who were brought into the country as minors and graduated from U.S. high schools. Once these kids graduate from high school, their future education is compromised due to our nation's current immigration laws. These immigrants are not able to attain legal residency within the U.S. since their parents are often undocumented. DREAM stands for Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors. The act would allow immigrants to obtain permanent legal status and become eligible citizenship within the U.S. if they complete 2 years in the military or receive a degree in higher education from a 4-year institution. This act was initially proposed in 2001 by Dick Durbin and Orrin Hatch. Currently, 14 states have their own versions of the DREAM Act that assist in helping over 65,000 children who are often considered illegal immigrants seek a higher education in the United States, where they spent most of their lives living. Nowadays, immigrants who qualified for the perks of DREAM Act are able to attend a higher education facility, which increase their future earnings and in turn helps the country boost its economic standing with the amount of taxes being paid. I decided upon this picture as a symbol for the DREAM Act. Students are holding a banner with the quote, "Education, not deportation." This quote readily explains the goal of the DREAM Act. Immigrants are to be granted higher education after high school rather than be deported. Thanks for watching our presentation.